20 things from the 1980s that kids today will never understand. The 80s were packed with trends and technologies now vanished. Join us as we uncover 20 things you can no longer do, from smoky airplane sections to dial-up internet. Get ready to feel nostalgic and amazed by how much has changed. VHS tapes. Remember those Friday night trips to the video store back in the 80s and 90s? The excitement of browsing rows of VHS tapes, the scent of popcorn lingering in the air, families huddled together debating the perfect movie for their night in. It was an experience all its own. Those video stores were more than just places to rent movies. They were community hubs, buzzing with shared excitement and the thrill of discovering a hidden gem on those jam-packed shelves. Fast forward to today, and things have certainly changed. Movie night still thrives, but instead of venturing out, the movies come to us. With a few clicks on Netflix, Hulu, or any of the countless streaming services, we unlock a universe of entertainment, instantly available from the comfort of our couches. No more late fees, no more rewinding hassles, just pure viewing bliss at our fingertips. It's amazing how technology seamlessly weaves itself into our lives, offering convenience and endless choices. But amidst this digital transformation, a hint of nostalgia lingers. We can't help but reminisce about those bustling video stores, a reminder of a time when movie nights meant more than just pressing play. Payphones. Can you imagine a time when you couldn't just whip out your phone to send a text or make a quick call? Believe it or not, there once was a time when payphones were king. Picture this. You're strolling down a busy city street, and there it is. A bright, sturdy payphone booth, a lifeline for staying connected on the go. Back then, these booths were as commonplace as coffee shops are today, a vital part of the urban landscape. People relied on them for everything from quick check-ins with family to important business calls when away from the office. But just like those chunky car phones of the past, payphones have become a nostalgic relic of a bygone era. Enter the age of the cell phone, a sleek, pocket-sized device that puts the power of communication right in the palm of your hand. With everyone carrying their own personal communication device, the need for shared public phones dwindled, leaving those once ubiquitous payphone booths standing empty. Today, many have been removed entirely, replaced by digital advertising screens or offering free Wi-Fi instead of a dial tone. It's incredible how quickly technology reshapes our world, turning everyday objects into relics of the past. Cassette tapes. Before Spotify and curated playlists ruled our headphones, there was a special kind of magic in hitting record on a cassette tape, poised to capture your favorite song off the radio. Remember that feeling? You'd scan the radio waves, anxiously awaiting the first note of that tune you just had to have on a mixtape. It was a waiting game, a test of reflexes, and oh so satisfying when you nailed that perfect recording, free of DJ chatter. Crafting a mixtape was an art form, a labor of love. It was about sharing a piece of your musical soul, painstakingly curated onto a physical object that held the power to transport you back to a specific moment in time. Today, our musical desires are met with a tap on our phones. Streaming services offer millions of songs at our fingertips, ready to be shuffled, saved, and shared in an instant. While undeniably convenient, something about the raw, tangible experience of the mixtape era continues to hold a certain charm. The anticipation, the effort, the thrill of the musical chase. It's a reminder of a time when curating your own soundtrack was a deliberate and deeply personal act. Network TV. Remember those days when the entire family would gather around the TV at precisely 8 p.m. for the premiere of a new sitcom, or when you'd rush home from school to catch your favorite cartoon? Back then, network TV ruled our viewing schedules. We were at the mercy of broadcast times, meticulously circling dates in TV guides and setting VCRs to record episodes we couldn't miss. It was a shared cultural experience, bonding over water cooler conversations about last night's cliffhanger. But now, we live in the age of instant gratification. Thanks to streaming giants like Netflix, Hulu, and Disney+, we can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. Binge-watching entire seasons in one glorious, sleep-deprived weekend? No problem. Want to rewatch that hilarious scene for the 10th time? Go for it. This on-demand revolution liberated us from the tyranny of network schedules, offering unparalleled control over our entertainment destiny. While this shift brought unparalleled viewing freedom, it also changed how we consume and connect with television. The anticipation of waiting a week for a new episode, the communal viewing experience, those elements have faded, replaced by personalized watch lists and solo viewing sessions. Smoke-filled skies. It's wild to think about now, but there was a time when lighting up a cigarette on a plane was as normal as ordering a tomato juice. Can you imagine? Planes actually had designated smoking sections. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but as we learned more about the dangers of secondhand smoke, it became clear that those clouds of smoke in a confined cabin were a recipe for health problems. The tide began to turn in the 90s when airlines, one by one, started banning smoking on flights. Passengers, especially non-smokers, rejoiced at the thought of breathing easier and arriving at their destinations without that lingering smoky smell. By the early 2000s, smoking on airplanes was a relic of the past, banished by strict aviation regulations worldwide. Today, trying to light up on a plane would not only earn you some serious side-eye from fellow passengers, but it could also land you a hefty fine or even legal trouble. The smoke-free skies are a victory for public health and a testament to how changing societal norms and scientific understanding can lead to positive change. In the 1980s, how old were you, and what job were you doing? Do you have any memorable experiences from that time? Share your answers in the comments below. Using a pager. Remember those little devices doctors used to have clipped to their scrubs, the ones that would beep ominously in the middle of a restaurant dinner? Those were pagers, the epitome of 90s communication technology. Before the era of smartphones and instant notifications, pagers were the lifeline for professionals on the go. Doctors, firefighters, business executives, they all relied on these pocket-sized wonders to stay connected. You'd hear that telltale beep, glance at the tiny screen displaying a phone number, and race to the nearest phone booth. Remember those? To call back. Pagers kept us on our toes, always a little bit tethered, waiting for that important message. But then, along came the mobile phone revolution, and suddenly, those trusty beepers seemed positively prehistoric. Why carry a device that could only receive messages when you could have a sleek phone in your pocket capable of calls, texts, and even gasp games? The writing was on the wall. The age of the pager was over, replaced by the unstoppable wave of mobile phones. Today, those little beepers are mostly museum pieces, a nostalgic reminder of a time when communication was a bit more interrupted. And while we might not miss the constant beeping or frantic searches for a payphone, the pager era holds a certain retro charm, a glimpse into a time when staying connected was a slightly more analog affair. Arcade glory. From beeping pagers to the cacophony of the arcade. The malls of the 80s. Remember the sheer excitement of those dimly lit arcades, bursting with the glow of neon lights and the sounds of furious button mashing? The air buzzed with friendly competition and the sweet smell of victory, or maybe defeat, depending on your gaming skills. Rows upon rows of arcade cabinets beckoned with promises of adventure. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga. Each game a portal to a pixelated world of thrills and challenges. Back then, The arcade wasn't just a place to play games, it was a social hub, a proving ground where friendships were forged and rivalries were settled over joystick duels. But just like those once ubiquitous pagers, the reign of the arcade began to fade with the arrival of home gaming consoles. Suddenly, you could experience that same adrenaline rush from the comfort of your own living room, no quarters required. The convenience was undeniable. Today, with online and mobile gaming dominating the digital landscape, those bustling arcades have become a nostalgic symbol of a bygone era. While a few retro arcades still exist, clinging to the nostalgia of joystick heroes, the heyday of the mall arcade remains a cherished memory. Paper maps. Before Google Maps became our co-pilot, navigating unfamiliar roads was an adventure all its own. Remember the days of unfolding those massive paper maps, desperately trying to pinpoint your location while driving with one hand? Or the thrill of victory when you finally located your destination after what felt like hours of searching? Those were the days of trusty road atlases, scribbled on map printouts, and the occasional wrong turn that led to an unexpected detour, sometimes a happy accident, sometimes not so much. But then came the GPS revolution, and suddenly, our glove compartments were freed from the tyranny of paper maps. Those little devices, with their soothing voices and uncanny ability to pinpoint our location on a digital map, changed everything. No more fumbling with fold-out maps or stopping for directions. Just punch in the address, and off you go. And now, with smartphones doubling as navigation powerhouses, accessing directions, real-time traffic updates, and even alternate routes is as easy as a tap on the screen. Thanks to Google Maps, Apple Maps, and a constellation of GPS satellites, those once essential paper maps have become relics of a bygone era, symbols of a time when navigation required a keen eye, a bit of intuition, and maybe even a prayer. Dial-up internet. Remember that iconic sound? The screech, the beeps, the whirs, building up to a triumphant or sometimes defeated connection tone? That, my friends, was the sound of the internet in its infancy. Back in the day, dial-up internet reigned supreme. We'd patiently, or not so patiently, wait as our computers bravely fought to establish a connection, tying up the phone line in the process. Downloading a single song could take an eternity, and forget about watching videos online. That was pure science fiction. But oh, the patience we learned. We became masters of multitasking, finding ways to fill those agonizing minutes or hours it took to load a simple web page. But progress, like the internet itself, movies at lightning speed. Broadband internet swooped in, promising faster speeds and a world of possibilities. Suddenly, downloading music took minutes, not hours, and streaming video became a reality, not a distant dream. Dial-up, once the gateway to the digital world, faded into obscurity, a relic of a time when patience was a virtue, and online life moved at a more measured pace. The card catalog Chronicles. Imagine a time before Google, before the internet, a time when the quest for knowledge began in the hushed silence of the library, amidst towering shelves and the faint scent of aging paper. Back then, the card catalog was our guide, a meticulously organized labyrinth of index cards, each one a gateway to a world of information. It was a tactile experience, the satisfying clunk of the drawer, the smooth texture of the cards, the whispered debates with your friends over Dewey Decimal classifications. Remember meticulously copying down call numbers, then embarking on a scavenger hunt through the stacks, hoping against hope that the book you sought hadn't already been checked out. But just like those smoky airplane cabins and dial-up modems, the card catalog has faded into the annals of history, replaced by the digital efficiency of online catalogs. Today, we can browse library collections from our laptops or smartphones, searching for books with a few keystrokes instead of squinting at handwritten cards. While undeniably convenient, something about the tangible nature of the card catalog, the sense of discovery it offered, continues to hold a certain charm. Please comment 1 to let me know you'll be watching this video until the end. LaserDisc. Before streaming was even a glimmer in the internet's eye, before DVDs and Blu-rays took over our entertainment centers, there was a brief, shining moment when LaserDisc was king. Okay, maybe not king, but it was definitely seen as the future of home entertainment. Picture this: massive discs, even bigger than vinyl records, promising crystal-clear pictures and sound quality that made VHS tapes sound like a tin can. Owning a LaserDisc player was a statement. It meant you were on the cutting edge of tech, a true connoisseur of cinematic experiences. But much like a shooting star, LaserDisc's reign was short-lived. Those giant discs were pricey and cumbersome, and as VHS got better and cheaper, LaserDisc's fate was sealed. Then came the DVD, smaller, more affordable, and offering even better quality. It was a knockout punch, and LaserDisc, sadly, became a footnote in the ever-evolving story of home entertainment. Today, those shiny silver discs are mostly collector's items, artifacts of a time when bigger seemed better, and the future of home theater involved carefully flipping a disc midway through a movie. Ah, memories. It's a reminder that in the tech world, even the shiniest, most promising gadgets can quickly become yesterday's news. Typewriters. Imagine a world without the delete key, a world where each word, once struck upon the page, was there to stay. That was life in the era of the typewriter, those clunky yet strangely satisfying machines that dominated offices and homes throughout the 80s and beyond. Remember the rhythmic clacking of keys, the satisfying ding at the end of each line, the anticipation of peeling back the ribbon to reveal your freshly typed masterpiece. Back then, mastering the art of typing, fingers flying across the keyboard, avoiding typos like a hawk, was a badge of honor. Whiteout and correction fluid were essential tools of the trade, and the fear of making a mistake was real. But as computers emerged from those shadowy computer labs and onto our desks, the typewriter's dominance began to dwindle. Word processors, with their magical ability to correct errors, adjust formats, and save countless documents with ease, quickly won over the hearts and fingers of typists everywhere. Today, typewriters have become more of a nostalgic curiosity, often found in antique shops or proudly displayed on the shelves of those who appreciate the beauty of analog creation. While few of us miss the fear of typos or the occasional paper jam, the typewriter era reminds us that sometimes the simplest tools can leave the most lasting mark. Walkmans. Before Spotify playlists and AirPods ruled the world, the soundtrack to our lives played out on a Walkman. Remember those iconic portable cassette players? They were more than just gadgets. They were a symbol of freedom. A way to escape into your own world. A personal soundtrack accompanying you wherever you roamed. The hiss of the tape, the click of the rewind button. It was all part of the experience. You'd carefully curate mixtapes for every occasion, painstakingly recording songs from the radio or meticulously dubbing them from precious vinyl records. A mixtape wasn't just a collection of tunes. It was a message, a story, a deeply personal expression shared through the language of music. But as technology marched on, those trusty Walkmans began to gather dust. The arrival of the iPod, with its promise of thousands of songs in your pocket, spelled the end of an era. Today, smartphones have become our all-in-one entertainment hubs, streaming endless music libraries with a few taps on a screen. It's amazing how quickly technology evolves, but amidst all the digital advancements, a certain fondness for the Walkman remains. It represents a time when listening to music was a more tactile, deliberate act, and a reminder that sometimes the simplest devices can leave the biggest mark on our cultural landscape. Film photography. Remember the anticipation of dropping off a roll of film at the drugstore? The agonizing wait to see how those captured moments turned out? That, my friends, was the magic of film photography. Before smartphones transformed us all into amateur photographers, 35mm cameras reigned supreme. There was an art to wielding one of those babies. You had to understand aperture, shutter speed, and focus. No auto settings to save you. Each click of the shutter was a commitment, a precious exposure from a limited roll of film, making every shot count. Remember carefully framing each picture, hoping you nailed the focus and exposure? The thrill of finally getting your photos developed, reliving memories, and discovering hidden gems amongst the occasional blurry mishaps? Those were the days. Today, we capture memories with a tap on a screen. Our digital cameras and smartphones, equipped with megapixels and instant previews, offer convenience and endless photo opportunities. But amidst this digital revolution, film photography holds a certain allure. The grain, the imperfections, the anticipation of the unknown. It captured something special, a certain magic that a perfectly filtered Instagram post can't quite replicate. Leaded gasoline. It's hard to believe now, but there was a time when pumping leaded gasoline into our cars was as routine as grabbing a cup of coffee. Back then, that potent mix, with its extra kick from tetraethyllead, was touted for boosting engine performance. But behind that extra horsepower lurked a hidden danger: lead. As scientists began to unravel the serious health risks associated with lead exposure, particularly its devastating impact on child development, alarm bells started ringing. It turned out that those fumes from our tailpipes weren't just polluting the air, they were quietly poisoning our communities and harming future generations. The 1980s and 90s ushered in a wave of change. Countries around the world, driven by growing concerns for both environmental and human health, began phasing out leaded gasoline. It was a monumental shift, a victory for cleaner air, and a testament to the power of collective action. Today, leaded gasoline is largely a relic of the past, replaced by unleaded options and cleaner-burning alternatives like ethanol and biodiesel. The air we breathe, especially in urban areas, is significantly less toxic. And children, thankfully, face a far lower risk of lead poisoning. Please share with us which part of this article you found most impressive or interesting in the comments. Thank you. Drive-in theaters. Remember those magical summer nights, piled into the family car, popcorn in hand, gazing up at a giant screen under a canopy of stars? Drive-in theaters, they were an experience unlike any other. It wasn't just about watching a movie, it was about freedom, fresh air, and family fun. Kids could sprawl out in pajamas, couples could share a bucket of popcorn under the moonlight. It was romance and nostalgia rolled into one. But as the 20th century rolled on, the flickering projectors of those outdoor cinemas began to dim. The land they stood on became too valuable, swallowed up by sprawling malls and multiplex theaters boasting surround sound and cushy seats. The rise of VCRs and later streaming services meant we could have a movie night anytime, right in our living rooms. And let's be honest, those tiny speakers you had to hook onto your car window? Not exactly high-fidelity sound. While most drive-ins faded into memory, a few resilient ones remain, clinging to the nostalgia of a bygone era. They're a reminder of a simpler time, a testament to the enduring appeal of a shared experience under the stars. Jazzercise. Cue the synth music and neon lights. We're going back to the 80s, a time when leg warmers were essential workout attire, and Jazzercise was the hottest ticket in town. Remember those high-energy group aerobics classes, bursting with colorful leotards and even brighter smiles? People weren't just sweating it out. They were grooving to the beat, feeding off the energy of the crowd and forming lasting bonds over high kicks and grapevines. It was a fitness revolution, a celebration of movement and music that swept the nation. But like all trends, the Jazzercise craze eventually cooled down. New fitness fads emerged, from high-intensity boot camps to the zen-like focus of yoga. The rise of home workout videos and, later, online fitness programs meant we could break a sweat without ever leaving our living rooms. Today, the fitness landscape is more diverse than ever, offering a smorgasbord of options to suit every taste and fitness goal. While those classic aerobics classes may not be as ubiquitous as they once were, they hold a special place in our hearts, and maybe a few dusty VHS tapes tucked away in the attic. Reading newspapers in print at breakfast. Remember the sound of rustling newsprint, the smell of ink, the satisfying thud of a hefty newspaper landing on your doorstep? For many, that was the soundtrack to a leisurely breakfast, a chance to catch up on the world while sipping a cup of coffee. The morning paper was a ritual, a window into local happenings, a connection to the wider community. You'd scan the headlines, catch up on sports scores, and maybe even clip out a recipe or a crossword puzzle. But just as the milkman and the rotary phone have faded into memory, so too has the morning newspaper ritual. The internet, with its constant stream of news updates and personalized content feeds, has transformed how we consume information. Now, we scroll through news headlines on our phones while waiting for our toast to pop, catching up on global events in the time it takes to brew a cup of coffee. While the convenience of digital news is undeniable, something has been lost in the transition. The tactile experience of holding a newspaper, the serendipitous discovery of an interesting article tucked away on page 6, the shared experience of discussing current events over breakfast. Those elements are fading, replaced by a more fragmented and individualized news experience. It represents a time when information was savored, not just consumed, and a reminder that even in a fast-paced digital world, there's still value in slowing down and connecting with the world through the printed page. Neon spandex. Picture this. It's 1985. Leg warmers are a fashion staple. Big hair reigns supreme, and every shopping mall is awash in a vibrant explosion of neon spandex. Yes, there was a time when rocking neon pink leggings or a bright yellow spandex bodysuit in broad daylight wasn't just acceptable, it was downright fashionable. The bolder, the brighter, the better. Neon spandex, with its tight-fitting, second-skin silhouette, captured the spirit of the 80s perfectly. It was a time of self-expression, a celebration of individuality, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you were hitting the gym, heading to the mall, or simply strutting down the street, neon spandex was your statement piece. But like all trends, fashion's pendulum eventually swung in a different direction. The minimalist aesthetic of the 90s, with its muted colors and relaxed silhouettes, took center stage, relegating neon spandex to the back of the closet or maybe a themed 80s party. While neon might make the occasional comeback on fashion runways or in music videos, it's no longer the ubiquitous street-style staple it once was. But for those who lived through the era of neon spandex, it holds a special place in our fashion memories. It represents a time when fashion wasn't afraid to be bold, a reminder that sometimes a little bit of flamboyance can be a beautiful thing. Floppy disks. Remember those square plastic disks, the ones you'd meticulously label with a Sharpie and handle with the utmost care? Those were floppy disks, the unsung heroes of the early computer age. Before cloud storage and massive hard drives, those flimsy-looking squares held our digital lives, school assignments, precious photos, in glorious low resolution, and even those early computer games that took forever to load. We'd carry them around in special cases, praying they wouldn't get bent or near a magnet, because losing that data was a fate worse than a computer crash. But just like those neon spandex outfits and jazzercise routines, the reign of the floppy disk was destined to end. As our digital needs grew, so did the demand for more storage space. Enter the USB drive, a sleek little device that could hold hundreds, even thousands of times more data than its floppy ancestor. And then came the cloud, an ethereal realm where our files could live forever, accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. The floppy disk, once a symbol of cutting-edge technology, became a nostalgic relic, a reminder of a time when saving your work meant a symphony of whirring and clicking noises. Wow, what a trip down memory lane. From floppy disks to dial-up modems, we've uncovered 20 things from the past. Did this spark some 80s nostalgia? Let me know your favorite memories in the comments. If you enjoyed this, check out more in our Who Remembers series. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching.